You know what, ladies and gentlemen, Helen Zille is really someone that you should actually pay attention to. I know some of you may disagree with her. I mean, we at Warning Shot disagree with her on many things, but she's been around for a long time in politics, longer than any political leader in any other party, except maybe for the Freedom Front Plus, and except maybe for the IFP, but those are outliers. And the reason why we're talking about Helen Zille today is because she released a piece on Facebook about the cultural attributes that she wants in South Africa. And Byron and I read through those attributes and we largely sort of agree with her. I think there is something missing. But Byron, in terms of the attributes, what do you think?
So Helen wrote an article over Christmas called What I've Been Thinking About Over Christmas. And in it, she refers to the points or priorities that she thinks that South African politics should embody. They are respect of rule of law and equality before the law, personal responsibility, the commitment to seeking objective truth, a sense of personal agency rather than victimhood or dependency, problem solving, valuing and preserving institutions and infrastructure, promoting the public good, a sense of duty that contributes more to society than extracts, and a strong worth ethic. So in a nutshell, everything that's not the ANC.
So we looked at this and we were like, you know what, these attributes on their own are good, right? They are very good, but there's something missing within Helen Zille's equation here. And I think she does it in a political sense, but there's nothing undergirding all of these attributes together. If you want a society with these attributes that you just spoke about relevant within that society, there has to be some sort of metaphysical reason for them. And once you put faith and religion within those values, it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people will listen to what we're saying. And when we say everything that's not the ANC, they'll think that's just Morning Shot being dismissive yet again. But actually, there is something more sinister involved. And that is, if you look at the ANC's ethics, the ANC's ethics are underpinned by a degree of Marxism. And that Marxism means that there's a high degree of equity, there's a high degree of redistributive wealth, there's a high degree of state ownership or state control, which takes away individual responsibility. There's a high degree of nationalism, which means that nationalism, usually black nationalism, means that equality doesn't apply to all. You may ask the ANC why that applies, and their answer will often be because of apartheid and historical wrongs. But in this instance, if you look at it slightly differently and you say, Western society was underpinned by Christian ideals, and those Christian ideals gave us a framework from which to create a degree of ethics, and that ethics underpinned the society norms. So if you look at the responsibility, like the first one, and that is respect for the rule of law. Why do we respect the rule of law? Well, we respect the rule of the law because, as the Bible famously says, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's and unto God what is God. So we understand that Caesar has a law or the state has a law. We respect that law, but that law is based on proportionate judgment, that proportionate judgment being an eye for an eye. If you take my eye, what I won't do is apply a degree of Roman judgment, and that Roman judgment was salt your land, rape your wife, and burn your entire village down and eliminate your entire heirs or lines from the whole of humanity. That is how Roman justice used to work, but Judeo-Christian ethics applied the idea of proportionality. So when we respect the rule of law, we have to respect it in the context of Christian ethics. And to remove Christian ethics is to reopen ourselves up to Roman law, which if you look at the ANC, that's exactly what they wish to do. If you look at them when they judge a white individual because of a crime that they committed, then we start seeing the idea of the sins of the father or the sins of the child, the sins of one or the sins of many. These are Marxist ideals, not Christian ideals.
Exactly. And that's exactly the point. And Byron, you know theology much better than I do. What do you think about these sort of cultural attributes that Helen Zille wishes to inculcate within South African society, but not have a moral foundation in terms of religion to drive it forward? I think that is the missing link here between having a society that is socially very moral and a society that isn't. If you don't have anything metaphysical grounding those attributes into something, you have to use like man's law, which is, as we know in South Africa especially, largely irrelevant. It is not enforced by coercion.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at it, you'll say to individuals, right, and I'm sure we will get these comments in the comment section around there is no God and you guys are just championing for the religious nut jobs. And those same individuals will say, well, everything is materialistic. Everything is based on my observation or my experience of the world. They will then default those things to their own feelings, and their feelings as if their feelings are somehow objectively true. So it's like you can't have this outside thing called God that might be objectively true, but their feelings are objectively true. And how dare you deny them? Because that's the materialistic culture. And that's exactly what we see in modern politics. We see a degree of individual feelings cropping up everywhere as if those feelings become truth. And that's why even Helen's comment that we should be committed to seeking objective truth. Well, how do I judge that objective truth? Because there needs to be an underpinning of what that is. That was the most fundamental question that Jesus asked, was it not? What is truth, as he asked to Pontius Pilate? The idea that truth may be either metaphysical or materialistic, or possibly even based in the ideas of my own personal lived experience, as the leftists may say, you need to have an idea as to where truth is being found, because the idea that there is this thing called objective truth is false. There is no objective truth. There is no relativism being applied to truth. You cannot have a relativistic view of truth. My truth is equal to your truth. What happens when the truths conflict? Then it's left to the state to decide. That's exactly what we have in modern politics.
Exactly, which leads to the degradation of our particular society. So, Byron, if you wanted to live in a society that inculcates these attributes like, respect for the law and a strong work ethic and things like that, I would not want a government to try apply that at a national level through laws, because we know that man-made laws don't really work. Perhaps the better alternative is to actually go to those communities that already have that sort of local order already, through the church or through the business chamber or through the neighborhood watch or whatever the case might be. You go to those places, you learn from them, and then you try to grow it in other areas of South Africa. Local order, to me, seems much more reasonable and achievable than a national order through laws from Parliament.
Yeah, so if you look at it, you have to remind yourself of something fundamental, and that is the fundamental tenet of Islam is obey. The fundamental tenet of Christianity is choose. You must choose to follow Christ. That ability to implement choice means that the individual saves themselves. It is that idea of the individual saving himself, which means that the individual is responsible for his own destiny. There's over 1,000 years worth of theology that asks this very thing. Is there an idea of predestination, or am I responsible for my own actions? And that's exactly why in Christian societies, everything was around your choice and your ability to progress yourself forward. But that's not what you see in Islamic societies, and that's not what you see in leftist societies. What you see in those societies are obey the rules, obey God, obey Allah. So you don't get the ability to choose. There is no choice in those things. If you are a Muslim, you are a servant of God. If you are a Christian, you are a follower of Christ. Now, that idea that I am responsible for my own redemption is the reason why historically the hard right dissident Christian was anti-government. It was anti-government because there was this idea of what we would call natural laws. There were laws that were preordained. They were given to you by God. No state could have them. Those laws were my ability to travel as freely as I want, my ability to defend my own life. No state could tell you that you had to have those laws. They were preordained, if you want. They were natural laws. And the problem now in a modern society, those laws no longer apply because we have abolished the concept of natural law. And so the only law that now applies is a law that is provided by the state. Look at firearms. You're only allowed to own a firearm so long as the state allows you to. You're only allowed to leave your house and not wear a mask if the state allows you. And this is what happens when you remove God from the picture.
So in conclusion, Helen Zille does say that she will fight for these cultural attributes to be applied to South Africa, and we applaud her for that. I think it's very important for a higher social mores to be present within South Africa. But I can give one tip to Ms. Zille if she watches this, of course, but of course to you too. If you want your moral standards to improve and increase, you have to start at the most local level possible. Your local church, make sure that you're on school governing body, and just stand firm on your morals. The problem with South Africans and problem with South Africa is we're a failed state because people refuse to stand up for what is correct. They refuse to stand up for what is true, what is good. If you can stand up for that within your local dispensation, this country can change very, very quickly overnight in a decentralized way. So I think what Helen wants is correct. The way to apply it, though, I think, is the way we have just described.
Yeah, I don't see how Helen achieves her last parts of her list, which is promoting the public good, strong work ethic, and contributing more to society than you extract, without embodying a Christian ethic of charity. If you ask me as a leftist, and if you ask me as a leftist atheist specifically, and you say, do good things for society, do good things for others, my first question to you is, why? On what basis? Why should I? Why should I work harder? What's in it for me? You see, you have to remove the aspect of me. You have to remove the aspect of selfish personal gain, which inevitably is what all societies break down into. This is the whole idea of survival of the fittest. You can't get away from it. It's the basic idea of society as a whole. The whole idea that we even have a state is the fact that without a state, the idea is that everybody will revert to individual self-interest that will be harms to others. If you take away the aspects under which I should operate, in other words, Christian ethics, I don't see how you're going to achieve the outcomes that she wishes just to see.
And importantly, in terms of South Africa, there is no real state, which will be tomorrow's video, by the way. So I want to subscribe to see that one. And because the state is collapsing, it makes it even more necessary to create local order as much as possible. And that's why this video, hopefully, is a little bit helpful to you.
Yeah, and hopefully we don't have to all abide by, as Helen says, the good feeling and good-natured idea of Ubuntu, because it has little value and it has little implications to society. It means nothing. And until we have something of value and something of meaning, society can't progress.
Indeed. So there you go. Find meaning, stand up for what is good, create order in your local community, and life in South Africa is pretty good. Thanks for watching, everyone. Let us know if you like this sort of video, which is a bit more metaphysical than on the news, and we will see you in tomorrow's. Have a good day, everyone.